What's up, y'all? It's Ty. In this video today, we're going to be going over and talking about each and every, well, not every diamond, but a lot of the diamonds in NBA 2K25 MyTEAM and ranking them on a tier list. Now, there's not going to be every diamond. So, I mean, again, I don't want to have to rank 100 cards. So, I mean, there's a lot of cards, but I did cut it down a little bit. So, if I didn't think a diamond was great, they're not going to be on this list. For example, like Theo Ratliff isn't on this list. There might be some cards that are decent that aren't on this list either, just because, again, I'm not perfect. But, I mean, again, if you have a card that's not on here, comment who they are down below in the comments, and then maybe somebody can get back to you, including myself, on where they should be. Let's start off with Diamond Jack Marin. For some of the cards, I might go to 2K database, but definitely not all of them. Jack Marin is a stud on this game. He's a stud. His defense is fantastic. Offensively, he's got a good release. Like, Jack Marin is really, really solid on this game. And I think for me, it starts with that release. It starts with the fact that I feel like I can consistently green with Jack Marin in my team. And because of that, I think he belongs in A tier. He plays for me in my specific squad. And honestly, he's not going to get replaced anytime soon. Brandon Miller, I think Brandon Miller is good. I just think Jack Marin's better. Like, genuinely, both cards are good. I think Jack Marin's better. Brandon Miller could get moved up to A tier. Glenn Rice, at this stage, C tier. I mean, I'm just not a big Glenn Rice stan in my team right now. I know he's going to shoot the ball well, but like when you're talking about complete cards, he's not great. Kukoc, really, really solid. 6'11", small forward, power forward. I know his player build is skinny, some other things he might not be great at, but I think as far as an overall picture, guys, Tony Kukoc is really, really solid in my team. Sean Kemp, I've never been high on Sean Kemp, and if you watch my videos, you guys should know that. Sean Kemp's not a card that I think very highly of, and I never really have. From the moment he came out to now, nothing as far as my opinion has really changed on the card. He's mediocre, not great. Michael Porter Jr. up next. He's fine. Not as good as Kukoc, but he's fine. B tier probably for MPJ. Gonna shoot the ball really well. I just wish defensively the card maybe was slightly better. And again, I'm not complaining. He's fine. But when you're talking about the elite diamonds, he's not there. Chauncey Billups, he's okay. The reason I like Chauncey still to this day is because you can still run him and he's still gonna be fine defensively. Now, offensively speaking, he leaves a lot to be desired. His release is not great. There are some other things that I'm just not in love with about the card. But defensively, Chauncey Billups can get the job done at a really high level. Kiki, C tier, similar to Glenn Rice, going to shoot the ball well. Outside of that, don't know how much Kiki gives you on the court. C tier for Kiki Vanderway. Next up, Andre Drummond. I mean, look, Andre Drummond's not very good. And I know he's going to rebound the ball well, but even defensively, I don't even think he has any Hall of Fame defensive or rebounding badges. D tier for big Andre. Rip Hamilton, not great either. When Hamilton came out, I told you guys his stats didn't look good. His badges didn't look good. That's still the truth. C tier, he's not unusable. The card's not great. Grant Hill up next, he's really good. A tier for Grant Hill. And I know some people that are out there are going to say, Ty, well, Grant Hill's release is not great. Grant Hill's release is slow. Okay, and if that is the case, it's true. It's fine. But what else does he give you? He's a great slasher. Defensively, he's fantastic. And so, yes, he's not going to be perfect. However, I think the card is very, very good. ML Carr, another very solid card. He's going to play defense about as good as anybody else on the game. B tier for ML Carr. Şengün, honestly, for the diamond tier, B tier. I didn't rank him super high in my last video, but that's just because it was the center list, and we're talking about him compared to Pink Diamonds and Galaxy Opals. Him compared to other diamonds, B tier, might get moved down, but overall, that's where I'm at. Jalen Green, a badged up Jalen Green is an A tier caliber diamond on this game. I'm telling you, his release is good. Offensively, he's fantastic. I really like Jalen Green on this game for sure. An A tier caliber point guard on this game. Chuck Person up next. I mean, C tier. I really do not like Chuck whatsoever on this game. If you want to run him again, that's fine. But I'm just talking about what I think about Chuck. I do not love the card. AR Austin Reeves up next. I don't know, man. B tier, I think Jalen Green's better. I just feel like Austin Reeves last year had something about him that was so good. This year, I just don't know if I can say the same. Like, again, last year, he had a great leaner. His release was fantastic. This year, I don't know what there is positive to really say about Austin Reeves. Kyle Kuzma up next. I don't hate Kyle Kuzma, but I'm going to go C tier. Like, at the power forward position, what does he really do? I know he can knock down shots, but his release is not what it was in past years. Defensively, he's the definition of mediocre mid. I am not the highest on Kyle Kuzma in my team. Michael Cooper up next. Coop, I want to honestly go A tier. That's where I'm going to go. 6'7", gonna knock down shots, gonna play defense. The bad part about Michael Cooper is offensively, he is going to be pretty limited. And it is what it is, but that's just the truth with Michael Cooper. I mean, it's fine because a lot of people, aren't perfect, but that is the one thing about Michael Cooper that I see with the card that I'm like, I just wish offensively he gave me a little bit more on the court as far as, attacking the rim, those types of things. Monta Ellis up next. I don't know. I don't love this card. I'm going to go D tier. Yes, I'd take Chauncey Billups over Monta Ellis. I would at this stage. It's just the way it is. Do not love the card. Ricky Pierce, C tier. Don't love what the card gives you at all. Andre Kirilenko. Is he going to be our first S tier card? I think I want to go S tier with AK. And I'm not talking about AK being as good as LeBron, anything like that, but I will say this for Andre Kirilenko. Defensively, he's going to be as good as nearly anybody else in the game. And offensively, his release is solid. And so when it comes down to things that I'm not liking about AK, it's limited. I really like what AK gives us on the floor. S tier for Andre Kirilenko. Isaiah Ryder up next. I don't know. I'm going to move Ricky Pierce down. I do not love Isaiah Ryder. I know he's going to dunk the ball well, but when I'm looking at the full picture for Isaiah, I don't love the card. Keith Van Horn is a card I like. Now, is Keith Van Horn better or is Andre Kirilenko better? That's tough. That's tough because I don't hate either card. I do think AK is slightly more complete badge-wise, just slightly the better card, but I really do like Keith Van Horn on this game. Pete Maravich stinks. D tier. He's not quite F tier, but the card's not good. OG Anunoby A tier. Thing about OG is he's going to be a perfect 3 and D option for you guys. Not as good as AK, so I can't really say, I guess, perfect, but OG is really, really solid in this game. Julius Randle, I know I've been hard on the card in the past. He's not the worst. I think C tier is the right spot for him. His release isn't great. He's not perfect as far as a card, but he's not bad. I think C tier for Julius Randle is where I'm at right now, and I think that's the right spot for the card. Amari Stoudemire, you're not good. D tier. I will never hype up Amari Stoudemire. I don't like the card. I don't like Amari Stoudemire this year. Al Harrington, I really like. He's A tier, on the verge of going S tier. When you talk about guys that come complete, Al Harrington's one of them. His release is solid. He comes with nearly 30 badges. Al Harrington is an absolute stud. Latrell Sprewell, probably B tier. I don't love the card. I'm going to move Brandon Miller up. I don't think Latrell Sprewell is at elite level, but I do think the card is fine. Chet Holmgren, S tier. Hopefully Chet, gets better soon, but the card is S tier in this game. The more I play against and battle with Chet, the more I'm like, man, this card is good. I don't know why I never really ran Chet. He kind of fits what I like at the center position, but I never really ran him, but he is S tier. Vucevic, he's not great. D tier. I know Vucevic's release is going to be really good, but when you have 60-some speed, it's hard for me to be super high on the card. Tyrese Maxey, F tier, you stink. Raja Bell, I kind of want to go A tier, and I'm going to. It's crazy that a day one Raja Bell is still A tier, but he is. Starts with the Pro 2 leaner. Starts with the fact that defensively he's a menace. I like Raja Bell in this game. He is still an A tier caliber shooting guard. Jerome Kersey, if his release was better, would be higher, but since it stinks, C tier. Domantas Sabonis, I'm going to go F tier. And here's why. I am so disappointed in the community that when we got a Domantas Sabonis grind, people were gassing it. The card stinks. He's absolutely horrible, guys. His speed stinks. His release stinks. And people were gassing the Sabonis grind. Are we good as a community if we're gassing that grind? I don't think so. Mike Bibby, he's honestly not the worst. C tier. I don't love the card, though, at all. Doug Christie is an absolute stud on this game, S tier. And I'm sorry for my Jack Marin. I'm sorry for Raja Bell. Doug Christie is S tier. He is so good at that shooting guard position. Just a complete shooting guard that you can pick up and run and just have so much success with. I love what Doug Christie gives you on the court. DeJounte Murray, I think I got to go A tier. I think he's a really good point guard. To be honest with you guys, I haven't used DeJounte Murray that much. However, I do think the card is deserving of A tier. Desmond Mason, not very good. D tier. Scotty Barnes is fine, but I think B tier is the right spot. I don't think he's as good as OG Anunoby in my team. Donovan Mitchell is fine. I don't know, man. I still feel like stat-wise he's not great. C tier. Kyle Korver, look, he's going to do one thing on the court better than anyone else. B tier. He's going to shoot the ball better with that release than anybody else. You can't leave him for an instant, otherwise it's green. I think for that sake, I got to put him at B tier. Jeff Ruland at this stage, C tier. I mean, I ran Jeff Rulin for a while, but he's got not great speed, not great 3, but I don't know. I'm actually going to move him to D tier. At this stage, I don't love the card. DeMarcus Cousins is not good D tier. I thought Boogie would be kind of like a meta type guy. He stinks in this game. They made him so bad. Brandon Roy, he's fine. I'm going to go B tier. Some people really love Brandon Roy. I don't necessarily love Brandon Roy, though. I'm going to go B tier. Next up, Anthony Parker. People get mad at me when I don't gas Anthony Parker, so I'll put him at B tier. I don't know. To me, he's just okay. I know he's got a good release. I know he's okay in the game, but like some people really love Anthony Parker, so I guess I'll throw him at B tier for you guys. Next up, Carmelo Anthony. Offensively, he's good. It's just his defense that leaves a lot to be desired. B tier for Carmelo Anthony. Corey Maggette is good on this game. He is S tier. I don't care. Corey Maggette can play. He can compete defensively. He is an not S tier, A tier caliber shooting guard on this list. Cat, look, as much as I'm not good with Cat, he is fine at that center position. If you got Cat, you can absolutely use the card. I just hate the fact that I'm not comfortable with his release. I hate the fact that I miss more shots than I think I should with his release. That's why, to me, he's at that B tier. But, I mean, if you want to put him at S tier or at A tier, you can. Cycly, you're A tier. I really like Ronnie Cycly on this game. I think defensively, he's an absolute beast. Sure, offensively, his release isn't the best. But as far as an overall center in this game, I think you got to put him at S or A tier. J-Dub, Jalen Williams, he's not bad. I mean, he is undersized, but his stats aren't the worst. I think B tier is where I got to go. If he could play shooting guard, I'd be higher on the card. He just can't. DeMar DeRozan, you're not good. You're going to go in D tier. I do not like the card. Buddy Hield, I don't love him either. D tier. Next up, KCP, you're going up. You're going up to A tier is Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. He's not S tier. He's not as good as Doug Christie, but he's for sure A tier. If you get KCP, he's a solid shooting guard that you can run. And obviously, you get KCP by grinding domination, the card you can get for absolutely free. So, can't hate on KCP. A tier is where he belongs, though. Hami! He's good, man. I didn't get him, obviously, because I have some other good small forwards, but he is an A-tier caliber small forward. I know he's maybe a slightly undersized, but he's going to play good defense, knock down shots. I like Hami. D'Angelo Russell, you're not good. But how bad are you? I don't know. I guess I'll go C tier. I like you over Pete Maravich. It's not saying much, so don't get too carried away, but I do like you just slightly more than those guys at D tier. Purvis Short, I don't know, man. He's fine. He's not the worst. C tier, I guess. Miles Turner's really good on this game. Not quite S tier, but he is A tier. I love Miles Turner. He's going to knock down shots. He's going to play solid defense. To me, he's just a slightly worse version of Chet. And honestly, nah, you know what? I'm putting Miles Turner at S tier. I am. Because he's closer to Chet than a guy like Cycly. And I'm sorry for Chet, because I like you slightly more than Miles. But I think both cards are S tier. The problem with Miles is he's just so rare. Doug West, I don't care. People can tell me all they want. Well, Ty, look at Doug West's release. I don't care, guys. Statistically, badge-wise, Doug West is not good. Somebody's going to have to show me with the card if they want me to respect him a little bit more. James Worthy, not good, but he is free. Can play a role, C tier. Draymond Green, just a little bit outdated, a little undersized. He's going to play a lot of defense, though, so I'll put him at B tier. Don't love him as far as his height is concerned, some other things. I don't think the card's perfect. Victor Oladipo, one of your better diamonds in the game. A tier for Victor Oladipo, not S tier. I don't know if we're going to have an S tier point guard or not, but Victor Oladipo is only A tier. Next up, DeAndre Jordan, you stink, D tier. Jamal Crawford, I don't know, man. Like, whatever. I guess I'll throw you at C tier. You're fine. Maybe even B tier. Devin Harris, I don't know. Maybe I'll go like this. Jamal Crawford, I guess I'll throw you at B tier, although I don't love the card. Kenyon Martin. If you get Kenyon Martin, there's a couple of things. Number one, I'm going to put him at B tier because Keith Van Horn walks circles around him. But number one for Kenyon Martin is his release is not great. Number two, he doesn't come with on-ball menace. At this stage, B tier is where he belongs. Paul Westphal, C tier. I don't love him, but he's fine. Isaiah Thomas, D tier. The card stinks. Russell Westbrook's diamond. Now, look, if you want to put this card at S tier, do what you got to do. I'm throwing him at A tier. I don't think his release or three ball is high enough to put him at S tier at this stage. Andrew Wiggins, A tier, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Andrew Wiggins, one of your best diamond shooting guards in the entire game. The problem is we've got a lot of good diamond shooting guards. Derek Coleman, I know his release isn't great, but he does enough at the power forward and is a complete card that I've got to put him at A tier. He does enough for me to put him at that A tier. No, I don't think he's perfect, but he is a solid card for you guys. Willis Reed, S tier. I do not care where you guys would have Willis Reed, he has to go to S tier. His release is fantastic. His player build is good. He's one of the most complete cards in this entire game. Willis Reed, easy S tier for us today. Paolo Banchero, S tier, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Easy addition into S tier as well. I got Paolo Banchero, and I'm never going to sell the card. Josh Smith, I think he's an interesting card because his release is so bad, so I'm going to put him in B tier. But defensively, he's so good. If you want to put him at A tier, you absolutely could. Big Brad up next. I don't even know where I want to go with Brad. I'm going to go A tier. And here's why. His release and 3-ball are good enough that people at least have to respect it. You can't leave Brad open on every possession. I feel like he does enough defensively for me to put him at A tier. Big Brad, A tier. J Rich, you're going A tier as well. I know some people might not love J Rich at A tier, but he's just as good as Corey Maggette and Andrew Wiggins. Next up, Chris Paul, A tier as well. And see, this is the reason Victor Oladipo can't be any higher, because I like Chris Paul just as much as that Victor Oladipo. Diamond Will Chamberlain, he's going to A tier. Doesn't fit what I want. I want a center that can stretch the court, but he is one of the best inside bigs in the game. Sidney Wicks, 3-ball is a little bit of a problem. I know he has like the same 3-ball as Brad. The thing is, for a center, you don't need to shoot threes. For a small forward in Sidney Wicks, you need to be able to knock him down a little bit more. Tim Duncan, I do not care what anybody says about Tim Duncan. I like the card. He's going to A tier. He's not S tier, but he is for sure an A tier caliber player on this game. Jaren Jackson Jr., easy addition into S tier. Here's what I don't like about my S tier right now, and I'll talk you through it. My S tier, I've got power forward, center. I need a guard at S tier as far as diamonds are concerned, but I don't know who to move up, so I'm kind of struggling right now. But Jaren has to be an S tier. He just has to be. There's really no questions asked, and it doesn't stop, because Jack Sigma is an S tier big as well. If you are struggling at the center position in this game, I don't know why. I genuinely don't know why, because there are so many good options for you guys. Kind of want to move. I'm going to move Miles Turner down. I'm going to. I don't want to, but with all these studs at S tier, I have to do what I've got to do. Carlos Boozer at this stage, he's just too slow to play. D tier. Last but certainly not least, Dwight Howard. I do think Wilt's better, so I'm going to go B tier with Dwight. Although, if you need an inside big and like Dwight, he absolutely can hold it down at that center position. Now, here's where things get interesting. You tell me who you'd move up from A tier at the point guard position. I feel like most people would say Russell Westbrook, but I don't think so. So I don't know who I'd move up. I feel like the rest of my A tier is pretty balanced. Like, I feel like all these cards at A tier you can use and just have so much success with. I don't like the fact that Miles Turner is at the same tier as Brad though, and so I'm going to move Miles Turner back up to S tier. I don't like to do it, but I feel like I don't have a choice right now. That's going to wrap it up for our diamond tier list. Let me know your thoughts on it down below in the comments, because I really don't know if I like this or not. Drop a like on the video, guys. Subscribe if you're new, and as always, man, I love you guys. Have a blessed day.